I'll let that flow a little bit more. Fill up that jar. I'll go to this side and get this flow going a little bit stronger. So we're about half, go 3/4 on this. So this side should start flowing more. And I'll get another bottle ready. So these are quart jars. So this will be, once this is full, that'll be 2 quarts or half of a gallon out of one of the frames. And I think there's a little bit more still to harvest. And so far the honey looks almost perfectly clear. It does look perfectly clear. I don't see any particles in there. There might be a little bit of wax and propolis and maybe some insect parts. It's hard to know, but I haven't seen any. This is definitely starting to slow. So I think I'm going to open up the rest of this frame and then just change the jar very quickly. So we'll go all the way to the end and give it one final turn. So that first closest frame to the camera is fully processed right now. So that flow should start to increase again. I will probably change this jar shortly to give it a fresh jar to flow into once this one fills up. This flow is doing okay. So most of this honey that's going to be coming out of this is now traveling from the very far end of this first frame. So as the first, the last part of the honey to drain is traveling the furthest from this side of the frame all the way down to the jar. So this flow is starting to increase again, which is great. So I am going to change this, put a fresh jar in there. As soon as it fills up a little bit more. Good. All right, a fresh jar there. Just clean up this lip a little bit. Good. And good. So there's half of a gallon from that first frame. Put my little protective covering over here to keep the other bees, keep these from getting too much of a whiff. So now if I look in this little window here, all of these cells, it looks like the caps are intact, but in fact the cells underneath the caps are not filled with honey anymore. So it'll be interesting to watch to see what happens to those caps when I reset the frame. think I can take this off.
Not getting that. It's out of the frame. I'm just trying to get the jars in view. Good. How many more are you going to get, do you think?
I get about a little bit more than a half of a gallon out of each frame. So,
How many jars?
well, each jar is a quart. So by the time I'm done, I'll probably have about 5 quarts of honey today from 2 frames.
And how long will it take to get more?
Well, the remaining 5 frames are at least half full right now. So, I don't. It depends on the weather, I guess.
Good.
Yeah. Okay, this flow continues to come pretty well, and I am going to increase the flow on this other side. So I don't remember where we are on this. Oh, we're almost fully open. So I'm going to fully open this one. So now both of the frames will have been fully opened. And I'll have to prepare a fresh jar for that. And let me just double check this one. Make sure it's open all the way down still. Of course it will be. Okay, both frames are fully open now. Now it's just a matter of the time that it takes for that viscous honey to drain down through the cells and down the frame and out the tube. Get another jar ready for the far frame. So the bees seem to not even know what's going on, which I guess is part of the beauty of this system. So this is the second quart from this frame, this far frame. Let's see if I can make this transfer. Sweet honey. So that's the second quart from this frame. So far we've harvested a little over a gallon from these 2 frames. And I fully opened both frames, so now it's just a matter of time. I don't think we're going to need to change any more jars. I'll be surprised if I have to. This flow should begin to slow, and there's no more one more opening to be done. So once you break these cells open, the honey flows out. There's no way to stop that honey flow because the wax seals between the cell walls have been broken. So even if you close them back up, there's still these broken wax seals now that they will not immediately close themselves back up. The bees will have to reseal those again. So you sort of have to be ready to collect whatever honey comes out. And I guess when you get to a point where the flow diminishes, I guess when it gets to a point where you're either bored or you feel like the process is done, and I'm going to let these flow for a while. But when you're done, you take these little plastic caps and you recap this drain hole on each frame, and there's a little weep hole at the bottom of the